Ella es So I'd completely forgotten that this weekend was spring break for the kids, and my wife had booked a skiing trip for us, so I'd completely spaced it, thinking I was going to be able to put in a lot of time this weekend on Spanish, but there's other things in life that throw you a curveball and you have to kind of adjust accordingly. And so that's what I did, spending as much time as I could reading and going over some of the lessons in Babbel. I didn't use Link much this weekend because my time was kind of limited, but I did manage to get my hour in each day, but most of it was spent on Babbel instead. So as you can see, this is basically where I'm at as far as Spanish is concerned. Progress is slow, but that's to be expected. I'm trying to understand as much as I can in the time frame that I allocated myself. There are days, obviously, that I put in more time than others, but for the most part, I'm trying to stick with the 1 hour that I can do because I'm quite busy these days. I know it's hard for people with a busy schedule to try to put in the time for learning a language, but one thing I will say is to try to put 15 minutes to start with, because one of the things that I've told numerous friends of mine is that if you just say to yourself you're going to do 15 minutes a day, the majority of the time it ends up it turns out that you put in 30 minutes or so. So therefore you say, okay, I was going to do I was going to do 15 minutes and I did half an hour, 30 minutes, which is fantastic. Which is better than saying I'm going to do an hour and do 30 minutes, and then 30 minutes is good, but you said you were going to do an hour, so psychologically you say, well, I didn't reach my goal, so therefore I've kind of failed the day, and that will put a negative image in your mind, and it may lead to you having burnout and fatigue and quitting. So basically you don't have to do the hour that I commit to each day. Like I said, 15 minutes to start with, and then try and build from there if you can. Also remember that there is the time in the car when you can listen to the radio or listen to a podcast, whatever you can to fill that dead time between jobs, or maybe on your break, listen to a podcast or a 5-minute YouTube video. Easy French is one of the things I always recommend. And I will leave the description or the link in the description below, sorry. In the next section, you'll see one of the things I did over the weekend, recording my review process while I was sitting there in front of the television, not watching it. I had my headphones on, so I was not distracted. But I did record my review time, which is very important to review the days before and the day after. But anyway, I'll explain more in the next section here. So there's one thing you should always do before you continue on to the next step when learning, especially when we're talking about Babbel, is to review as much as you can. And down the bottom of Babbel here, there's a review. So you can click on the review and hit review now, and then go through the flashcards here. So here's the thing, if you don't, for instance, I'm just going to call this one out, for instance, she's a mechanic and she works at a garage. Ella estoy mecanisma y ella trabaja en el taller. Ella es mecánica y ella trabaja, because she's female, trabaja en el taller.
Ella es mecánica y trabaja en un taller.
And the other thing is, if you do know it, you should, if you don't know it, then you should repeat it over and over again several times. Ella es mecánica y trabaja en un taller. And you can listen to it by clicking on it.
Ella es mecánica y trabaja en un taller.
Ella es mecánica y trabaja en un taller. Okay, you can do it.
Ella es mecánica y trabaja en un taller.
Taller. Ella, so the double L is spelled as yeah. Ella es mecánica y trabaja en un taller. Ella es mecánica y trabaja en un taller. Repeat it numerous times and then it will start to connect. I know it sounds rather boring, but that's the best way to do it. Ella es mecánica y trabaja en un taller. Ella es mecánica y trabaja en un taller. That way you can actually know that ella es, and then whatever job they do, and works in a garage. You can substitute any of that. Mecánica, she could be a hairdresser, or she's a, the one I know would be a reporter, periodismo, and she works at where reporters work. Ella es periodista y trabaja en un periodismo, something like that. Anyway, you'll know the words and just substitute them. Best to keep repeating that several times. Ella es mecánica y trabaja en un taller. Slowly at first and then actually speed up. Ella es mecánica y trabaja en un taller. Ella es mecánica y trabaja en un taller. And so we know that one. Now here it is. Ella works at a hair salon. Ella trabaja en un, I don't know what hairdresser is. So, she works as a hairdresser, so I don't know that, so I'm going to click on here.
Ella trabaja en una peluquería. Ella trabaja de peluquera.
Ella trabaja en una peluquería. Ella trabaja de peluquera. See, slowly at first. Ella trabaja en una peluquería. Ella trabaja de peluquera. Ella trabaja en una peluquería. Ella trabaja de peluquera. But when you're saying it, just don't repeat it. Make it go in your head. Make it stick. Actually, just try to figure out exactly how you can use that word to remember what it means. That's a hard one. Hairdresser, peluquería. I have no idea how to get those two together. Maybe it's just one you have to remember. Ella trabaja en una peluquería. Ella trabaja de peluquera. Ella trabaja en una peluquería. Ella trabaja de peluquera. Ella trabaja en una peluquería. Ella trabaja de peluquera. Listen to it again.
Ella trabaja en una peluquería. Ella trabaja de peluquera.
Okay, so I don't know, so I'm going to hit I don't know. So that's basically what you need to do there. And make sure you continue to do that when you go through study. Make sure you review before you go to your next study. And then you're going to review at the end of that study. And then after that, you're going to come back again and review again the next day. That's the way it sticks.